before 2010, the television lineup in New Zealand had offered plenty of content from the United Kingdom. UK family dramas such as Brookside, EastEnders, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, medical dramas such as Holby City, Casualty, police dramas such as The Burnside, Dale and Pascoe, Midsummer Murders, comedies such as Faulty Towers, Blackadder, Miranda, Vicar of Dibley had cropped up in many conversations across the dinner table and had great influence on our creatives on how they tell the story to the consumer. In this episode, we chat with Samantha Giles about her life and career as an actress on the drama Emmerdale, which began production around 1972 and continues to this day. We broke down her character Bernice Blackstock, and we learned the cultural impact that the show has had on the world. So, go brew yourself a Yorkshire cup of tea, put on your best flat cap, and let us jump into the world of UK television.
Right. No, Oh.
Have I come to the right place? Only there's no one around the front and I couldn't find a bell. I'm Bernice. The agency sent me. A new barmaid?
Questions will be asked, and they will be answered. You know what I mean? Because this is the A2A Bar Review. I understand that you were born and raised in Maidstone, Kent. Can you describe your family and growing up in Maidstone, Kent?
Well, it's known as the Garden of England. It's it's in the southeast part of England. It's very green, lots of orchards and fruit trees and things like that. I was born in the countryside, quite a rural upbringing. Very happy childhood, really, very lucky.
Growing up in Kent, can you share with us an early moment that shaped your interest in storytelling and in performing?
I grew up having a very vivid imagination and a big sense of playfulness. You know, I was always kind of doing practical jokes from very small. My mum says that they used to have like a walk-in larder and I pushed the gas man in there and shut the door and you couldn't actually get out once you were inside. So stupid things like that, you know. And I had an emu. I don't know if you've heard of Rod Hull, an emu over in New Zealand, but he was very massive over in the UK when I was a little girl, and he had a puppet called Emu. If you look at it up, you'll see. And he used to do all chaotic things with Emu. And I had an emu and used to sort of copy some of the awful things that Rod Hull used to do. So I was quite mischievous and just knew from a very young age that I always wanted to be an actress.
What kind of actress were you wanting to be, like comedy mostly, or dramatic roles, action, adventure?
I don't think you think about that. You just think about, I want to be different characters and I want to pretend to be different people in different scenarios. It wasn't a question of, is it comedy or is it drama? It was just, fun.
What's it like playing someone else for a day or two, stepping into someone else's shoes, someone else's world? What's that like?
Well, I suppose it's just the ultimate escape, isn't it, from your own self and your own life. I think naturally I'm more introverted person, which sometimes surprises people because you think that all actors would be quite extroverty or show-offs or whatever, but actually that's not how I am. I can be very shy. I just enjoy getting away from myself and being able to say and do things that I wouldn't normally do as somebody else.
Samantha, before securing a role on Emmerdale, can you describe the hardest part of the audition grind?
It was a very slow start for me because I didn't go to drama school. I did a drama degree, drama and English degree at university. So it's very hard to get an agent. I don't think that's changed in all the years that I've been working. It just felt like, at times that I was banging my head against a brick wall, really. And then because I didn't have many auditions, I found it very hard to get agent. So it was very, very slow, and I was having to do all sorts of other jobs just to pay my bills and stuff, like we've all done, waitressing, cleaning, ironing. Eventually I did a touch typing course and did some temping work. So originally when I went up for Emmerdale, I was reading for the part of Trisha Dingle. That's the character that I went up for and had to do a screen test with Billy Hartman that played Terry. And I didn't get the job, and I was pretty devastated, but I thought, well, that's just another one. I was told that the exec producer, a lady called Carolyn Reynolds, had who I'd worked with before on something, had really liked my audition, and she basically said to the writers, I want you to write her a character, I want her in it, I want you to write something for her. And so they did, and that's how Bernice Blackstock came about. And I was only going to do 4 episodes to start with, or something like that, 4 or 5 episodes. And then after I'd done that, they very soon asked me to go back for 3 months.
Oh, that's very good. You suited Bernice to a T. Very different to Trisha Dingle, that character. Yes. Going back to in the early days, how did you keep yourself motivated? When you were going to auditions, you might not have got every part that you wanted. So how did you keep yourself going and afloat and keep paying the bills and just keep moving forward?
I just had this kind of thing inside of me which wouldn't give up, because I was determined that I would make it and get work at some point. I don't know where that came from, really. It was just this thing of, well, I don't want to do anything else, so I'm just going to have to keep going. And all my friends, that I've been to school with and so on, that were doing normal jobs, they were all buying houses and so on, and I was just renting. But I had a really good friend who was a writer, and we kind of supported each other emotionally through that time, because he was struggling to get writing work, I was struggling to get acting work, so we would keep each other going creatively. I think it's just a very, very tough time, and in a lot of ways nothing's changed, because even though I've had, on the outside I've had these successes, and I have had quite a successful career, when I look back, when a job finishes, you are still back to square one, and you still feel like that 23-year-old girl of, oh my God, am I ever going to get another job? How am I going to get through each day? What's going to happen? It never goes away, unless maybe you're somebody like Tom Cruise. I suppose it does, because you sort of, you've made it, haven't you, when you're that sort of wanted and doing those films all the time and stuff, whereas most jobbing actors never have that security.
How do you switch into that mindset? I need this job. I just stop worrying about what's going on in my life and be this character.
You can, because it is an escape, isn't it, from if you're feeling a bit rubbish, then play a character which is very upbeat is such an escape from yourself, so it takes you out of yourself, so and it's like shutting the door on yourself and moving on a bit, so it's good.
Bernice Blackstock is a character who is extroverted, who is loud, who is bubbly, who is glamorous, who enjoys the finer things in life. Can you describe your first impression of Bernice when you read the script? Was she someone that you wanted to hang out with and be friends?
Not really, not initially, because I thought she was quite a tricky person, really. She could be quite rude to people without realising it. She was very blunt initially, a bit selfish, a bit self-centred. I think she'd be fun on a night out, but she's quite a selfish character, really.
She sounds a bit of a dragon, actually. But I've yet to meet someone I can't get along with.
Really? Well, love, there's always a first time for everything. Good day to you.
What's the matter with her? Oh, she's not. Oh, no.
As noted earlier, Bernice Blackstock enjoys the finer things in life. She's loud, she's extroverted, and then we see her engage in a relationship with the Vicar, Ashley Thomas, who is the opposite. He is shy, he is well-mannered, he is polite, he is selfless. Can you describe Bernice Blackstock's attraction to the Vicar, Ashley Thomas?
I think they were sort of opposites, really, weren't they? And he was probably quite flattered that this gregarious, much younger woman was sort of interested in him romantically. For her, he symbolised this security that she was after, because she hasn't really ever had much luck with relationships throughout her life.
Bernice Blackstock has a colourful and cheerful personality. and she has a history of hitting other characters with sausages and food waste. How challenging is it to play a character who is always bubbly, who is always up, love-struck and moody on a regular basis?
Well, all that's quite fun, you know. I'm lucky that, you know, that I played such a comedy character, because if you're in a soap, you are really living that character day to day alongside with your own life. You know, it's hard to escape. So if you're playing very miserable stories, it does tend to affect you as a person because you're taking it home with you every day. Whereas if you're playing silly, daft things, it doesn't, you know, sit with you and make you feel miserable. You can sort of laugh about it. And we've always had fun doing that stuff.
How was an episode of Emmerdale filmed during the week? How does your day usually start when you start the production?
If you're in the first scene, then you have to be in for 7 o'clock in the morning for makeup. So you'd spend an hour in makeup and getting your costume on, and then you're on set at 8 o'clock. So if you're in the studio, you can do sort of 10, 11 scenes in a day, break for lunch, you have a mid-morning tea break, mid-afternoon tea break, and hour at lunchtime, and you'd go right through to about 7 in the evening. So it's a very long day. If you're in the village, where the Emmerdale village, which is like a little purpose-built village on the Harewood estate, about half an hour north of Leeds, get there for 7:30 in the morning, and then obviously much fewer scenes because you're outside, so probably 4 or 5 scenes in a day, which is still quite fast, very fast actually. So that's it really, and then you'd either go home or go to a hotel or whatever, you know.
How was the commute for you from where you live to the set of Emmerdale?
I live in Liverpool in real life, which is the other side of the Pennines. You've got this mountain strip. Have you ever been to the UK?
My father's from Lancashire. His family's from Lancashire, and we were there in 1999.
You know, like you've got Lancashire, you've got Liverpool on the coast, then you've got Lancashire, and then you've got these mountains, hills, the Pennines,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you've got Yorkshire. So it's driving across. It's the highest motorway in the UK, the M62. Gets very busy. So it could take me, if there's no traffic, it'd take me about an hour and 20 minutes. But I have journeyed once going home one day, and it took me 8 hours because there was an enormous accident. So yeah, it's that would get me down sometimes, the commute. It's quite to be doing a 12-hour day and then have sort of 3-hour journey as well. It's quite tiring.
Emmerdale started life as Emmerdale Farm in 1972. Can you describe the show's cultural impact? How has this show remained popular for this long?
Emmerdale was always very British, I suppose, wasn't it? With the, you know, farm and set in the north where people are always sort of stereotypically more friendly. It's true, the northerners in the UK are more friendly than southerners. You can hear from my accent, I'm a southerner, I'm not a northerner, although I live in the north. I think that soaps have changed over the years, and I think they've changed to the detriment, actually. I think they always were a sort of comforting bird's eye view of British life, you know, of ordinary life, of kitchen sink drama, of people living in villages and towns, and ordinary problems, marriage problems, work problems, you know, teenage problems, that stuff that we could all relate to and laugh about, you know, lots of comedy and all that kind of thing. And I think they've become too obsessed with murders and serial killers and these huge events that really dramas deal with. And I don't think it's the place of soap opera to deal with all that. I think soap opera should just be those banal conversations that make us laugh, like your old-fashioned episodes of Coronation Street with Ina Sharples and, you know, all those characters, Bet Lynch and Raquel, chatting about men behind the bar. You know, it shouldn't be murders and incest and rape and all that, in my opinion.
My father agrees. When he watches Emmerdale, he watches it to be reminded of village life back in England, and because it's been a long time since he's been there, so he just wants to be reminded of home. And now he's seeing a lot of problems that you'd see in the urban settings and in other soap operas set in the city. What were your favourite episodes?
The stuff that I did before I left a couple of years ago, and that's probably all the B&B stuff with Bernice and Bob. I really enjoyed that when Tony and I were working together and running the B&B. It's a shame really that they didn't do that before, because I'd obviously decided I was going to leave, and then they did this great storyline, and it could have been quite fun, where that went to, wherever it would. I think probably Bob and Bernice would have ended up getting together, possibly.
How are storylines such as menopause, euthanasia, Alzheimer's disease treated with great care and realism?
I think they chose to do the menopause storyline with Bernice because she's predominantly a comedy character, so they didn't want. Not that we want to belittle the story, because it's very real and very difficult for a lot of women out there that are going through those hormonal changes. You kind of have to see the funny side of things as well sometimes. That's one of the ways of getting through life, isn't it, when life's really tough, is being able to see something humorous in a situation. I think it got criticised, the story, for Bernice doing it, really, or being given to Bernice, because of some of the stuff with the hot flushes and everything, and it was funny. But I think life is funny sometimes, but I think there was also a very sad element, where she was a scene with Bob where she was crying and saying, I just don't feel like myself anymore. I feel so angry, and I feel I'm out of control, and I feel like I've lost myself and I'm struggling. So there was a mixture of serious and comedy in it. Of course, they did the story, and then they put her on HRT, and then we never heard another word about it, which so often happens again with stories, doesn't it, in soap, that they don't sort of follow through with them. And of course, the story doesn't end there. Just because you go on HRT, you're still going to have symptoms and problems and good days and bad days. But yeah, it's very much in soap. Let's cover a story and then let's move on.
How did you approach portraying the storyline on menopause, which is a personal and universal issue for all women?
I think I related to some of it because obviously I'm a similar age to Bernice. She's a little bit older than me. Obviously, as a woman, I'm still going through similar things. I particularly identified with the rage because I feel rage a lot of the time. The medication on offer and stuff doesn't solve all that. And I think it is just a matter of time and processing life and changes that are going on around you.
I can imagine when storylines that involve issues such as menopause, Alzheimer's disease, euthanasia, race, physical disabilities, and mental health issues, there is much care taken to avoid misinformation, offence, alienating the viewers. How does the production team and the actors balance those stories with care, accuracy, and entertainment? What research and care is involved in bringing about those stories, making it meaningful to the viewers as well as entertaining?
They do have advisors with different things. Maybe not that storyline, but with certain other stories, they would definitely have people advising. If they were doing one to do with Alzheimer's, like they did with the Ashley storyline, then there would definitely be advisors and doctors and so on that will help you.
Why is it important for entertainment-driven shows such as Emmerdale to be educational, informative and understanding on issues surrounding euthanasia, menopause, COVID-19 and various addictions?
A lot of kids watch the soaps. It might be they watch it while they're having their tea or just before they go to bed. It should be a sort of gentle way, or it certainly used to be a gentle way of families maybe introducing issues and talking about things within the family. I think that has changed a bit now.
Will Bernice be making a comeback to the Dales soon?
At the moment, I've been really enjoying doing lots of different work, and since I left, I've done panto and I've done a tour and I've done a feature film and a kids series which is just about to start, that sort of lands on CBeebies. I have been doing other stuff and my writing as well, so who knows for the future. Never say never.
Will you be continuing on with the Rosemary and the Witches of Pendle Hill stories?
I have written the third and final book in the series has been written. Unfortunately, after the first two books, my publishers folded. So it's very difficult to get another publisher to take on a book which had two out, of the series. A publisher would have to kind of relaunch the entire series. So I've been working on a women's fiction or historical fiction that I've finished. So I'm waiting to see if a publisher will pick that up, and then we'll sort of go on from there.
Can you tell us about that?
If you know the story of the Pendle Witches, you'll know that basically these women were all hung and accused of witchcraft, and one of the families that were accused, it was the 9-year-old daughter, Janet Device, that stood up in court and testified against her mother and her brother and her sister, basically said they are witches. Because of her testimony, they were all found guilty. So my question is, what happened to Janet after the trial, because she was an orphan? So did she stay with Roger Noel, the district judge, who took her in before the trial? No, that wouldn't have happened. So I've written a story where I'm sort of juxtaposing Janet and what happened to her in 1612 alongside a modern day woman. And it's sort of how their stories intertwine and how they have a lot of similarities, really. And it's about finding their own strength, their own power, particularly when they've been oppressed or gaslit. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great journey for me writing the book, and it's called The Witch in Me. It will be out next year.
But what do you think the event in 1612 on Pendle Hill tell us about society, how people treat each other and misunderstand each other?
I don't think that much has changed, really, has it? People can be so evil towards each other and so barbaric. I think that, I mean, there were men that were accused of witchcraft as well, but it was more unusual. But I think it sort of tells us that anything we don't really understand, we're frightened of. Rather than try and understand it, people's go-to reaction is to kill it or get rid of it or ridicule it. And that comes, not just people that you think might be a bit odd, it comes down to people of different cultures, maybe different skin colours. People are afraid of things they don't know or that aren't familiar. And actually we should just be saying, well, tell me about what you do. Let's see what you can offer us and what we can offer you. It should be collaborative, not fear-driven.
What does Wicca mean to you?
Everybody has something in their life that motivates them, don't they? For some people it's money, for some people it's religion. We all have our different things. And for me, I've sort of always been interested. I've been brought up in a very natural way, we're in the countryside and going fruit picking and honouring and enjoying nature. And as I've got older, I think I just really enjoy the gentleness of Wicca. It's called a religion, but it's not really a religion, I would say. You can quite happily embrace Wicca and still be a believer in God, for example. Wicca has absolutely nothing to do with the occult or the devil or anything like that. We celebrate pretty much the same festivals that the Christian calendar does. It's just they're called sort of old pagan names. So May Day is called Beltane in the Wiccan wheel. And again, it's the same as the Christian religion. It's celebrating spring, it's celebrating anything fertility. You've got the maypole dances. I mean, the maypole is a symbol of fertility, that phallic pole that people dance around. And you've got your May Queen, Litha, which we've just had, which is summer solstice, June 21st. That's my favourite Wiccan festival, the longest day. So you're thanking the sun, the wondrous things that the sunshine and the light brings us. Everything's growing, everything's luscious and abundant. And you're sort of giving thanks to that, really. And we had a little party in the garden and gave gratitude for things that we've got and said thanks for different things, and then sort of planted seeds of what we want to manifest over the next 6 months of the year. So Wicca is very gentle. It's about the wheel of life, really, trying to eat according to the seasons, which is quite difficult in this country, but we'll give it a go. It doesn't have to be about doing magic spells and things. Some people that practice Wicca do that. I don't tend to do very many spells now, really, but I obviously have my website where I create these spell kits and sell them to people. They're like self-help kits, really. That's all they are.
Gives you more confidence and makes you feel a part of the world and celebrate what's going on around you. How did you find Wicca?
As I got older, it was something that I started reading more about and became more interested in. I've always been interested in the power of thought and positivity and feeling renewed and refreshed when you go outside and go for a walk and be within nature. I think it's very, very healing. So why not use that in some way to try and, bring into your everyday life?
Has it helped you with your craft of writing and acting?
It's helped me try and navigate the difficult times when you feel creatively as an artist that you're not getting anywhere or that things are very slow, because you have to try and put your trust in that things are happening as they are meant to happen, and understanding the difference between those things that you can change. You know, it's like the serenity prayer, isn't it? Help me to understand the things that I can change, and then the things that I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference between those two things.
As Samantha Giles and as Bernice Blackstock, what is the one philosophy, value, perspective that you would like to share with viewers?
Don't give up, because I think life throws so many challenges at you, and sometimes it can throw those challenges at you in particular just before you're about to reach a breakthrough, and you just can't see it because you think, I really feel like I'm being pushed to the edge here and I'm going to have to give up. Don't give up, because if you really believe in something and you know that to be true inside, and you believe in your ability and your talents, and you feel you have a voice that you need to be heard, then don't give up.
Smith, let us wrap up this interview with the game This or That. UK TV shows versus US TV shows. You tell me which show you prefer, UK or the US. Let's go, Blackadder or Bewitched?
Bewitched.
Brookside or Young and Restless?
Oh, I don't know what Young and Restless is, so it'd have to be Brookside.
Absolutely Fabulous or Friends?
Absolutely Fabulous.
Downton Abbey or Dallas?
Dallas.
Open All Hours or Cheers?
Cheers.
Doctors or General Hospital?
Doctors.
Those were the questions, those were the answers. I'm Raymond, you've been watching A2A Bar Review. Good night.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes. Pieces is a form of art. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make